Good morning, children. Let us continue with the class. You know about the safety aids, isn't it? Now let us see, when a fire is caught, what is to be done. Fire caused due to electrical fault is never put out using water. So there will be an electric short circuit. Due to electric short circuit, what happens? There may be fire. If it is factory or industry, immediately it will catch fire, especially if it is cotton, wool or something like that. No? Fibrous one, immediately it will catch fire, even plastic also. So plastic immediately will start melting, isn't it? So what is to be done? Due to electric shock, if there is electric fault, if there is any fire, what has to be done? You should never use water in that case. Water is a good conductor of electricity. So what happens? It will pass more and more fire. Okay, so you should never use water. So let us see what happens. Water, being a good conductor of electricity, allows electricity to flow through it and the person can get an electric shock. So if you are pouring water, what will happen? If the person is there, immediately the person will get more and more shocked and it may lead to severe problems also. So you should be very careful when there is electric short circuit or something. You should never use water for that. When due to short circuit, if there is fire, you should never use water because water is a good conductor of electricity. Now, turn off the main switch immediately. So what you have to do? When you understood there is a short circuit, immediately what you have to do? You have to turn off the electric switch. That too, you should never use wet hand. That you should be very careful. Never use wet hand during that time to switch off. You should use some this wood piece or something like that, dried ones. And if you are wearing slippers means especially these Hawaii slippers, rubber slippers and all, if you wear, that time you will not get more shock. So you have to be very careful, especially when you touch the electric switches. Your hand should not be wet, your body should not be wet, and you should not be barefoot. Then, turn off the main switch immediately. Such fires are put off using sand or fire extinguisher. So first you have to do is main was, when you understood due to electrical current only there is a fire, immediately first work is to go and switch off the main switch, and then afterwards you can even, if not, what you can do, you can just use sand or fire extinguisher. Did you understand? That is how you have to put off the fire when there is electrical fault. Next, always keep a fire extinguisher handy in the house. It can put out the fire quickly. Small fire extinguishers you will get. Okay. So what happens if that fire extinguisher, if you are keeping in the house small ones, supposing there is small fire, immediately what happens? You can just on the fire extinguisher, it will put off the fire. Next, if a person's clothes catch fire, do not allow him to run as the air flares up the flames. So supposing the person is getting fire through the clothes. Sometimes what happens, especially in ladies, during puja time and all, you see ladies what they do, they wear new dresses, new saris and all that, and that too it will be synthetic saris. So what happens, they go light the lamp and then only they start doing puja. They will not be aware of their, what is that, the sari pallu. It will be touching the lamp and it will catch fire, and if it is synthetic, immediately it will catch fire. That time what you have to do? And even small children when they are playing near the stoves and all that, small stoves, that is kerosene stoves and all, if it is there, that time also there are chances of this catching fire, clothes catching fire. See, if a person's clothes catch fire, do not allow him to run as the air flares up the flames. So as you run, what happens? More amount of oxygen is supplied. Because in the atmosphere there is presence of oxygen. So more amount of oxygen is supplied, what will happen? Fire will start spreading faster. So in that case, what you have to do, you should never make the person, the one who has got fire, the clothes has got fire, he should never run. Cover the person with a thick blanket or bed sheet immediately. So immediately what you have to do, houses, blankets or what is that? Thick blanket. Blanket means here it is kambli. You would have heard of kambli, isn't it? That or the normal bed sheets. Immediately you have to wrap the body of that person who has got fire and roll him. Just roll him on the floor. What will happen? Immediately it will put off. The fire will put off. There will be burns, but still it can put off. But instead of that, if you just make that person to run here and there, what happens? It will catch fire faster. So this cuts off air and helps in putting out the fire. So if you cover the person with a thick blanket or bed sheet, and roll him, what will happen? It will cut off the air. So there would be oxygen supply. Oxygen is a good, it is combustible gas, you know, isn't it? So what happens? It is a good supporter of fire. Combustion. It is combustion means fire. So here it cuts off air and helps in putting out the fire. So you can see this is how it has to be done. Putting the blanket and rolling the person on the floor. Okay. Now next here is it. First aid. We should follow safety rules to avoid accidents, but even then, if accidents occur, we should not panic. So what happens? We should follow safety rules. If you follow safety rules, what happens? There won't be accidents. But sometimes what happens, if you are following the safety rules also, the other person, the opposite person will not be following safety rules and the person will drive or whatever it is in different way. So there are chances of getting accidents. So when there are accidents, immediately what you should do, you should never get panic. Panic means you should not feel some discomfort there. What to do, no, like that you should never feel. You should be cool and what you have to do is you have to give the first aid. Okay, so what is first aid? See here. The injured person must be given first aid immediately. So injured person, already accidents you are taking safety measure also, sometimes there may be accidents. That is the name as called as accident. Accident means by mistake it happens. So that is only called as accident. So first aid is the first or immediate help given to an injured person before the arrival of doctor or before he or she is taken to the hospital. So what is first aid? First aid means the immediate help you are giving to an injured person. Immediate help. Anybody can do. Whatever the materials are available, from that only you can just give a first aid. So what is first aid? The immediate help you are giving to an injured person before the doctor arrives. Before doctor comes only you are giving some medicine or some treatment to that person. Okay. Or till you take to the hospital. Sometimes you cannot expect doctors coming to the spot. So what happens? Immediately you have to carry the patient to the hospital itself. So before carrying to the hospital or before the doctor comes, you are giving some safety measure to that person who has already met with an accident. That is what we call it as first aid. See here, first aid is a first or immediate help given to an injured person before the arrival of doctor or before he or she is taken to the hospital. The first aid required is different for different accidents. So all accidents, the first aid will not be the same. It will be different. For example, sometimes what happens, you are crossing the road, one two-wheeler came, just slightly it has hit you. You would have fallen. There won't be injury. But because you are falling, you have got a shock. You are shocked that something has happened to you. For some time, you will become blank. That time what happens, the people those are around, they will take it to the side and they give you some water to drink. Or they may pour water. If you are feeling like unconscious or something, they will just sprinkle water on your face. Okay, that time you will become alright. That is small things. There will be big accidents. For that, there are different types of first aid will be there. Safety measures will be there. Okay. Now, let us study about them. So, what all are the first aid? See, first aid for burns. If there are burns, what is to be done? In case of minor burns, the affected skin develops a reddish color. The burnt area should be kept in cold water. This is normal. It happens in the houses, especially with mothers. What happens? Mothers have to cook the food, and before everybody goes out for work, mother has to complete all her work and give the carrier. Carrier means what? The food to their office or school or whatever. So she will be in a hurry, moving here and there and getting all the things done, isn't it? Sometimes she would have kept the cooker, the hot cooker down. By mistake, what happens? Her own hand will touch that when she is taking things, isn't it? What happens then? There will be reddish color on her skin because it's burnt. Got it? See, in case of minor burns, the affected skin develops a reddish color. The burnt area should be kept in cold water. So when it happens, what happens? You have to keep that in cold water. Did you understand? And then an antiseptic or lotion must be applied locally to prevent infection. An antiseptic cream, normally this Bernol, they keep this Bernol in the houses. An antiseptic cream, if nothing is there, at least honey will be there. You will have honey in the house, isn't it? Just apply honey on the burnt spot. You see, the burning sensation also reduces and you will not get the blisters. Did you understand? So an antiseptic cream or lotion must be applied locally to prevent infection. Anything, any type of cream, cold cream is there, that also you can apply. Burn also you can apply, okay? Or nothing, you apply honey itself. A paste of baking soda and water also imparts considerable relief. A paste of baking soda. Baking soda means the soda which is used for cooking purpose. That is baking soda. For cooking purpose they keep soda, That is called as baking soda. Baking soda and water. You have to make baking soda and water, and that also you can apply on the spot where there is burns. In case of severe burns, blisters are formed. If it is burnt severely, what happens? There will be blisters, what I call gulle. Understood? Suttiruva gulle they say. So that blisters are formed. The blisters must never be pricked with a pin or any other sharp object. So you have seen the blister. You cannot take pin or any other object and just prick it. When you prick, what happens? Actually there will be water filled in it, isn't it? So that will come out and the skin will get opened and that remains as a wound. It becomes as a wound. See here. In case of severe burns, blisters are formed. The blisters must never be pricked with a pin or any other sharp object. It may lead to an infection. Instead, a wet compress of a cloth dipped in a solution of baking soda can be applied on the burnt area. So instead of pricking it with pin, what you can do? You take a cloth, cotton cloth, and just wet it. After wetting, what you have to do? You have to wrap it on the burnt area. So with instead of wet compress of a cloth dipped in solution of baking soda. So you have to again we have to take baking soda and water and then dip this cloth in that. You have to take baking soda and water, make a solution of that, dip cloth on that in that solution, and then what you have to do? You have to just apply it on the burnt area. Even that will not cause blisters to come out. Next, the patient must be rushed immediately to a doctor after first aid is administered. So when it is heavy burns, what happens? Severe burns, what you have to do? You should only give first aid because you are not doctors, you cannot treat. So immediately you have to give first aid and take the person to the doctor. If it is a chemical burn, the clothes must be removed from the affected area. The burnt area must be washed with lots of water to rinse away the chemical, and the victim must then be taken to a doctor immediately. Normally, when does this happen? This happens normally in the chemistry lab. In the chemistry lab, what happens? They will be playing with so many chemicals. When they just go on doing experiments with chemicals, what happens? These chemicals may just affect the skin. So when it is affect the skin, because the body is covered with cloth, what happens? This cloth also get burned and that will stick on to the body. That cloth will stick on to the body. So immediately what happens? You have to remove the cloth. From the burnt area you have to remove the cloth, and then it has to be washed with lots of water. That part where you have got burnt, that should be washed completely with cold water, running water. Just keep your hand or whatever it is, wherever you have got burnt, keep it under running water, under tap. So what happens? More water will go on flowing on that. So with lots of water to rinse away the chemical, and the victim must be taken to doctor immediately. So immediately what has to be done? That person has to be taken to doctor after giving this first aid. Clean properly with running water and then take the person to the doctor. So let me stop it here, children. We will continue in the next class.